This will be the one for signatures.
Okay.
But I can get up and say
One o'clock. Okay. All right, I'm going to call. Let's see, do we have our microphones on, everybody? We do, right? Okay, good. Thank you. I'm going to call this meeting of the Madison County Election Board to order. You might remember at our last meeting, which was on December 18th, we didn't adjourn, we recessed, so we are actually coming back into session following that recess. We do have an agenda. However, I will note that we do have all members of the election board here, and Ms. Gardner, you're here as a proxy, is that correct? For purposes of the hearing regarding the Lincoln Club, which was the prior hearing that we had back on the 18th of December. So we do have an agenda. I do note that we also have our counsel, Jeff Graham, is here. Thank you, Mr. Graham, for being here. The first item of business on the agenda is approval of the minutes of the December 18th meeting. And have the members had an opportunity to review those minutes? And if so, is there a motion or any discussion?
I prepared the minutes, so I don't know if someone wants to make the motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll second that motion. All in favor of the motion to accept the minutes as tendered, please signify by the voting sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye, same sign if you're opposed. The ayes have it, so the minutes for the December 18th meeting are approved. And we'll go into the next item of business, which is the complaint. We're here again on the matter of the complaint regarding the Lincoln Club campaign reports that was previously filed and we took testimony on at the 18th. I know we recessed at that time so that members could have an opportunity maybe to look at some of the prior records of the reports that have been filed. I had an opportunity to look at some of those. However, in my opinion, the issue is really fairly clear from the evidence that was presented. I know we've asked for council to prepare certain findings, tendered findings, proposed findings, and I believe that has occurred. I see that it's here before me. And having had an opportunity to review those, I think that they're in order. There was a defect in the filings from the years in question. Although I would note, just from the evidence that was presented, I didn't necessarily see evidence as to the year 2020. You did have evidences for all the other years. Do you have a comment? I'll allow you to at least comment on that. I don't want to get any other testimony here because I think we're prepared to take action. But I don't think the board should make a ruling if there wasn't evidence on that year.
There was. In the complaint that was filed, there was evidence of 2020 signed by Anthony Emery.
Well, there was, but in the other cases, the other years, you tendered other reports where their donations were shown to be made. And I didn't see that for the year 2020.
Unfortunately, I don't have reports for every single person that would have donated in 2020 to the Lincoln Club. May have been people that didn't even file or were a candidate for office that year. So I wouldn't have those reports.
So you don't have evidence as to that particular year?
I do have evidence. I've given it to you.
What is that?
I don't have any additional reports for that.
If
Mr. Willis would like to come up, be sworn in and testify with regards to the fact that that lump sum was all less than $100 donations, I suppose he could do that.
Okay, so you're not conceding that you don't have evidence?
I am
for
not.
2020, all right. So the issue becomes, the findings that we have do include the year 2020. So, is there a motion to be made as to the findings? I mean, the law, as I understand it, is once the findings of a deficient report are made, that notice has to be given to the candidate or to the committee, who filed the report, that they have a 5-day grace period to cure the defects. You agree with that, don't you?
I do not. I first off want to provide some filings that I have for you.
Oh, this is just your appearance?
Correct. So prior to the board making any findings, I'd like to address the procedural deficiencies from the December 18th, 2024 election board meeting. As I'm sure the board is aware, pursuant to Indiana Code 421.5, the Election Commission and County Election Board campaign finance hearings are subject to the procedural requirements set forth in the Administrative Orders and Procedures Act. Based on this board's failure to follow the requirements set out in AOPA, at the December 18th, 2024 meeting, I'm moving to strike all witness testimony heard on December 18th, 2024. Indiana Code 421.5.326 states that all testimony from parties and witnesses must be given under oath or affirmation. During the December 18th, 2024 hearing, 2 witnesses testified. However, the board failed to swear the witnesses in prior to their testimony. As such, this testimony should be stricken from the record. I'm providing you with written notice of this board's failure to follow proper procedure and the motion to strike.
So you want to do the hearing over again?
I do not.
What do you want to do?
I want the board to follow the appropriate procedure under AOPA.
That would mean we'd have to do the hearing over.
You can do whatever you would like.
You were here as counsel for your client, is that right? Did you raise this issue at that time?
You've continued the hearing. The hearing is ongoing. I have every right to raise this issue right now.
But you heard testimony that was presented at that hearing, is that right? Did you raise the issue? Did you object to the testimony, including the testimony from your own client?
I'm objecting now and in writing.
All right, I'm going to ask the counsel for an opinion on this, if he has one at this time.
The board, I have not read the citation recently. The board can certainly make the finding that the issue was waived by the failure to raise the issue at the time. We're now, time has passed, there's been an investigation, there's been a close, the evidence itself was closed by the board's own vote. That was, the time to object could have been done at that time, the board can make that finding. I would also note that the proposed findings you have in front of them don't necessarily rely on any of the testimony. So even in the event that the testimony would be stricken by this board, the findings itself are based on documentation and filing and review of this board.
All right, thank you.
In addition, I've provided you 2 additional exhibits. Affidavit of Katherine Callahan regarding communications and correspondence received from Chairman Willis during the 2020 and 2024 election cycle. As you can clearly see, Willis has held himself out to be an expert in the completion of campaign finance forms. The second exhibit is the January 3rd, 2025 order from Special Prosecutor Angela Weber. You will recall a complaint was filed on June 6, 2024, wherein Robert Joswiak presented evidence of a separate violation of election law by Chairman Willis. In the subsequent August 5th, 2024 Election Board hearing, this board referred Chairman Willis to prosecution pursuant to the Indiana statute. The case was referred to Special Prosecutor Angela Weber, who offered the following reprimand. Even though the investigation in this matter is conceded, a comment on Mr. Willis's behavior is warranted. It is unclear if Mr. Willis denied Mr. Joswiak to review the canvassing of votes because of ignorance of the law or applicable election board policy, or simply because Mr. Joswiak didn't have credentials as required by policy. Either reason is troubling and unacceptable. The chairman of the election board should know the laws and policies concerning the election board. The chairman of the election board should also take reasonable steps to help a member of the public get the required credentials, especially when they are readily available, instead of curtly and dismissively denying the request to view vote canvassing. Madison County voters should rightfully expect more from one of their public officials. Based on this information, Chairman Willis' repeated violations of election law make him a habitual offender. Next, Callahan's complaint was filed against the entire board of the Lincoln Club, not just Chairman Willis, although Chairman Willis is the only party who has appeared in front of this board. Lincoln Treasurer Anthony Emery signed the 2020 CFA-4. However, the only evidence this board has to consider with regards to Mr. Emery are the documents presented by Ms. Callahan. Mr. Emery has not presented any evidence or provided any testimony regarding the allegations against him. The same goes for the remaining Lincoln Club officers. Finally, I'll direct you to the order I've provided. As shown above, under Indiana Code 31453, the election board has a duty to report violations. As such, I've provided an order detailing findings of fact for the election board to adopt and provide to the prosecuting attorney in Indiana Attorney General's office.
Thank you. Mr. Willis, you're here. Do you want to say anything? All right. Yeah, Mr. Graham. Okay. All right. Council's advising me that in regards to the issue of failure of the oath, that we can have the witnesses who testify on the 18th put under oath now and ask them if they justified. Well, I'll let Mr. Graham handle it precisely how that's handled. So if you were a witness at the 18th and you were here, would you please come forward and we'll put you under oath. Mrs. Callahan, you were a witness, I believe.
I'll just defer to my attorney.
No.
You swear your testimony today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Please come to the microphone so we can make the record. Mr. Wells, do you remember your testimony that you gave before this body on December 18th?
Yes, sir.
Do you recall, was that testimony completely truthful?
Yes, sir.
Nothing from you.
All right. And if there were other witnesses who testified on the 18th, if they'd come forward and be sworn in, we'd appreciate it.
Lorraine, you want her to do that?
She's filed an affidavit.
Okay, is that good enough?
Okay, good. And I think those were the only two witnesses who testified, correct?
Correct.
All right, thank you. All right, is there anything else that the board wants to say or to consider at this time regarding this matter? If not, I'm prepared for a motion. No comment.
So, Ms. Callahan's affidavit is her testimony from, is it her testimony now?
Ms. Callahan's affidavit is the testimony she filed on the record.
So do we strike her testimony from the first hearing?
You do not have to. There's a motion to do that. You do not have to do that. It's up to you. You could deem that issue has been waived.
I think it has been because she appeared, she testified, she had counsel here. Counsel never raised the issue of the failure to administer an oath, if that is required. So I think it has been waived, in my opinion. I think, otherwise, Are we striking the book that was tendered to? My findings are based
I don't believe
largely
it.
upon what is here. You can't have it both ways.
That is not witness testimony and does not require anyone to take an oath. Documentary evidence is not witness testimony, does not require anyone to take an oath.
It doesn't have to be tendered under oath. The foundations have to be laid, and it has to be a proper evidentiary basis for them being tendered into the record.
No, your attorney does not take an oath before they represent you
The documents,
in an AOPA hearing.
okay. So this is not testimony, this is not evidence before the,
It's documentary evidence. Maybe your attorney can assist you.
I don't want to get caught up in all this.
We are under relaxed evidentiary rules that would be up on the third report.
Right.
So I think that would go to weight. There's also, I would note, most of them are government records, self-authenticated. And so I think it would be proper, regardless of whether they've been authenticated. I mean, in a court hearing, someone that's sworn in has to testify to their authenticity.
Right.
But in this case, due to our reduced evidentiary standards, I think the board can certainly take them into account as evidence.
Right. Is there a motion or any further comment on the matter?
These are all new documents that we've not had a chance to read.
Okay. This last document, which was the special prosecutor report, I've read this. It's been received by the board. I don't need to consider that further.
What you have is you have a proposed order and findings of fact from our petitioner. You have the special prosecutor's report that you've already received. Ms. White's appearance, and you also have a notice from the board's failure to follow proper procedure. That's been, I think, where that's been dealt with.
Okay.
So really, aren't we?
And an affidavit of Dr. Callahan on it's a little over a page.
Well, to me, in considering these additional documents, these issues still before the board is, was there a deficient filing of the reports that are alleged in the complaint that has been filed? In my opinion, that's clear that there were deficiencies, and I'm prepared to make such a finding. That's my understanding that the state law requires us to give notice to the individual or the committee in this case that filed the deficient report, and that the deficiencies are to be cured within 5 days. Or at least there is an opportunity for the deficiencies to be cured within 5 days. And that's what I think the board should do at this point in time. And that is, I believe, embodied within the findings. We've got enough. I think we're ready to make a ruling on this.
I want to make an objection, so it's not waived.
Okay, make your objection, please. It'll be noted on the record.
Indiana
We
statute.
haven't even done this yet, but yeah.
Indiana statute requires, if you believe that there may have been a violation, that you refer this to a prosecutor.
But there's not a violation until the 5 days have gone by for the cure, aren't you? You disagree with the opportunity for the filers of the deficient reports to make the 5-day grace period. Is that right? You think that statute doesn't exist, or what?
I think that she did not file a complaint under that statute.
Well, that's what the statute requires. So that's embodied within the findings of fact that were tendered to us by our council, and if there's a motion to approve that, stand ready to have the board consider it. If not, I'll make that motion myself. Is there a motion at this time?
Motion to approve that the person with the violation of the defective report should have 5 days to cure the defect, correct?
Right, and a finding that there were deficiencies as to the reports as listed within the proposed findings given to us by our council, which were the defective reports for years 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, and 2024.
Okay. I did talk to the state on this, and yes, there should be an opportunity when there is a defective report for the person who filed the report they have 5 days to cure that report, and I will make that motion.
I'll second.
All right, there's a motion and a second to approve.
Just for the record, board, are we adopting the proposed findings?
Yes, these would be supported by the findings as prepared by our counsel, Jeffrey Graham.
Do I need to reword?
Is it the board's contention that Russ has not received notice of defective reports yet?
It is going to be a formal notice that he has 5 days to cure.
And our findings direct our attorney to provide that notice.
So since August, this board has not provided him notice that his
That is
filings
correct.
were defective.
There you go. Thank you.
All right, there's a motion before the board to accept the findings as tendered by our counsel. All those in favor of the motion signify by the voting sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. The findings of the board will be entered as per the proposed findings tendered by our counsel, Mr. Grant. All right, and that I believe concludes the matter regarding this complaint against the Lincoln Club. We do have some new business, and I believe that Mr. Willis is going to join the board at this time as a member of the board. All right, the next item of business on the board's agenda is consideration of new business, and we have listed here Ollie Dixon's complaints. And Mr. Dixon, you're here. Do we need to have him sworn in?
I think maybe we should.
Okay.
Mr. Dixon, you swear to testimony under the terms of perjury will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you, Counsel.
Right, Mr. Dixon, you had filed a complaint with the board, I think, going back several months ago. Would you like to sort of...
Several. Which one do you want me to start with first?
I believe this is the one regarding, well, Mr. Graham, can you just refresh the board?
Dixon, what we're referring to was back on September 25th, and this is with regard to your attempt to file federal voter registration forms, and you were concerned that those forms were not accepted or you were harassed in doing so. Do you recall that one?
Repeat that again.
That you approached our voter registration office with a national federal voter form, and there was some friction, or
I wanted some of the federal forms to register people, and I went over there to the department that Russ Willis was working out of, and they offered me some state forms, and they would not at that time let me turn in the federal forms. Now later, after talking to Linda Smith, I was told allowed to turn in those federal forms. But my problem with there was a continuation of an attitude coming from Russ Willis that I did not appreciate, and I'll tell you what I'm talking about. Back, and Linda, you have to refresh me up on the date that a lady out up on the hill there on 8th Street at Westland Church. You're supposed, according to law, to have, she delivered the votes, the ballots from Westland by herself, when she should have had every political party with a representative come bring those ballots from the church, the balloting place, back to the election room. And but she was working with two blacks, Valerie Raymore and Darlene Harrington, and she would not let them in the vehicle with her, and she would not get in the vehicle with them. Now, she brought them up here by herself. She could have done anything with them, or could have added or deleted some ballots. I went to Russ Willis, me and Rebecca Crumes, and I filed a complaint. And as of today, I requested, I demanded a resolution in writing. And as of today, I still haven't got an answer in writing. Now, on the other hand, a young man made up some applications, voter registration and absentee requests. And he gave me a copy of it, and I gave that copy to Prosecutor Rodney Cummings. Now, for some reason, Rodney Cummings and Russ Willis got together, and they had accused, in my opinion, questioned me and Rebecca Crumes as to where these applications came from. Well, I told them where they came from, and that they were not submitted into the election room, and even if they were, they got a right to throw them out. But what they did, they tried to get the young man, they threatened him, and he ended up taking a misdemeanor. But on the other hand, the woman that brought those votes, those ballots, back down to the election room by herself, she was white. This young man was black. Now, in my, Russ Willis, in my opinion, he was after me and Rebecca Crumes. And that justice should flow both ways. It shouldn't be any difference in justice. If you're right, you're right. If you're wrong, you're wrong. So Russ Willis, in my opinion, he was wrong. And every complaint time he turn around and do something to me, I bring it up and file a complaint with Linda Smith. So far, the only seem anyone get disciplinary is if your skin is black. That's my opinion.
Or Asian.
Mm-hmm. Huh?
Or Asian.
Yeah, black, Asian, a minority, absolutely. Somebody need to put it into his harassment. It's discriminatory practice. The man is an animal when it comes to human beings. He has no respect for human beings. And especially if the color of their skin is darker than his. And Rebecca Crumes, as a witness, she was there with me, and you got something you want to say about that incident? About that, Valerie and Darlene not being allowed to be in the
Since Darlene is here, she wanted to.
Well, you'll have to come to the,
Okay, she,
Rebecca, will you just raise your right hand?
okay.
You swear the penalties of perjury, your testimony will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes. Darlene Harrington was a poll worker. And I'm just telling you what she told me. She had it all written down, and I'm not sure if she filed it or not, but, Councilor Dixon did. But she had told me she was very upset about what was going on in the polls, not just that incident, but several others. And she was very concerned because she took that job very seriously. And she had been hired, and she was so excited to work the polls and really into the elections and whatever they taught them at the training. She had a whole little booklet of notes and just took the job very seriously. And when things were going wrong in the polls, which she documented, and she had a doctor appointment, she's going to try to, she may make it, get here before it's over. But she was telling me all the things that she had questions about that was going into the polls. And one was the lady who left the poll with the ballots because they had some kind of disagreement, not only one night, but 2 different nights. Now, it was my understanding that Mr. Willis did address it after the second time, but she still was very upset that that happened. And not only that incident, Linda, there were several incidents that went on in that poll. But what broke her heart was after she thought she was doing the right thing by reporting all these incidents that were going on inside the poll, she was never asked to work the poll again. And she wondered why, and she would have been appointed by the Democrats. But when I talked to certain poll members, and I won't call their names because those are nice little jobs, they pay well for the little temporary work that they do, and they're not going to report incidents inside those polls because they don't want to risk not being asked again. And that is sad. This board, and I don't like talking about people, I really don't, but you just have to when they're in the wrong. And we got to do better, because even one of the incidents, which was very serious and never did get resolved, and that was part of his complaint too, was the initialing ballots ahead of time. And she said some days there was over 50 ballots that were initialed ahead of time. And she asked the inspector or whoever was in charge of the poll, she said, why are you doing that? Because in our training, we were told not to do that. Once you put those 2 initials on that ballot, that becomes a federal document that has to be tracked.
We told them not to do it.
Oh, God, help me.
Rebecca, can you tell me, because I'm looking at the document, or maybe Ollie, you can tell me, that you filed on October the 29th in my office, and you asked me to email it to a group of people, which I did for you. But it says this was on May the 3rd, 2022. Is that correct? This happened in 2022.
Repeat that again,
I don't know what you're talking about.
You don't know what I'm talking about? Do you want to see this? Because this is the complaint that you gave me.
Well, let me finish telling you what I'm talking about right now. That I know what was told to me about these ballots. I know y'all told them not to do that, but they continue to do that. He knows that. And you even said, Mr. Willis, that, a couple won't hurt. But they were told in that training not to even do one. But she said this happened over a several-day period. But the problem with that was, I told her when she called me, I said, report it to your inspector or whoever, and Mr. Willis will probably come in there, which he did. And when she told me it was still happening, I said, well, when they come back the next morning, just ask your inspector, are they keeping a report of it or whatnot? And so she called me. She said, I asked them, and they said they came back. They already took care of it. So that was the year they had the recount, when the mayor only won by supposedly 40 votes. That was that year. There was no documentation of extra ballots being taken to and from that courthouse. What should have been done, if they say they had made some up, or something went down and they had some made up, there should be in some type of documentation, we got X amount of ballots here with initials, And a Democrat and a Republican should have signed off on that, and that should have been tracked from that point on. Where they went, when they come back, it should have been signed off again. That documentation did not exist. So these elections here in Madison County, there's questions on both sides, Democrat and Republican. And we have got to do better if you want to restore the integrity of these elections. I know what I've seen and what I've been around. So I don't have to sit up here and make up stuff. And as far as what Ollie, oh, here's Darlene, she can tell you herself about these ballots and how it has just broken her heart. And it makes me feel bad because I'm the one that asked her to get involved in the process. They make like they can't never find nobody to work, and that is a lie. Every election, people are asking me, how can I get to work the polls? How can I get to help? And then I see in the paper where they say they can't find people to work. They can't find people who keep their mouth shut and not say anything to work. That's who they're looking for. But I'm going to let Darlene tell you herself what went on.
Darlene, I have to put you under oath.
Mind if I take my jacket off?
Not at all.
I see it's warm up here. Thank goodness.
And can you state your name for the record?
Darlene Harrington.
Darlene, do you swear in the penalties of perjury that your testimony will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Absolutely.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
This Crumes and Councilman Dixon were addressing the board about some perceived election law violations in this past election as well as other elections. And
yes.
They testified that you had some firsthand knowledge of those things that you'd like to provide to the board.
Yes.
That was a good opportunity to do that.
Okay, I just didn't know which incident they were referring to.
The native balance ahead of time.
Okay, that was the last time I worked. And during the training that we had, they specifically said it was, I forget the lady's name. I haven't looked over any notes that I kept. I just came up here today. But there was a lady, my understanding was from New York, that did the training. And
Clark.
And she said not for the clerks not to sign, initial any ballots until they had somebody in front of them. At first she said, well, maybe 2 or 3. And then she said, no, don't do any until you have someone in front of you. And since I worked the satellite, it's not like it was a line of people. You know, people would filter in. We might have had 11 the first day. And they immediately started signing and ballots and the envelopes. So I mentioned it. Didn't they say in training that we weren't to do that because she said that ballots are active once they're initialed by both parties. And they said, well, I heard that, but we're going to do it anyhow. And they asked the inspector and he okayed it. Yes, you can do it. So that's when I just went and sat down and just started taking notes. I wrote the day, the time, and then I asked, now, how many have you all signed? And they didn't want to answer me. And the Democrat clerk looked at me and said, darling, I appreciate my job and I need my job. And I said, Ann, I only asked you a question. How many? Because this is part of your job. And they told us not to do it. You did it. And I just want to know how many. That's all. And she didn't want to answer me. So I went and sat down, and the Republican lady, she just wouldn't answer at all to tell me. So I just said, well, I'll just take notes, keep the peace, and do my job. And every day that they did it, I asked, did they, the ballots come back, that they said they'll just secure them in the box. I escorted with the inspector to and from. So the last day, I asked, again, how many ballots did you do today? And I said, and I feel like I have the right to ask that because I escort this box from the courthouse to our facility and back, and I should know what's in there. Also, the inspector has to write if there is a voided ballot, there's an envelope for that. There's envelopes for people that just walk in and bring it in. And there's a procedure for everything except these ballots that have been initialed. He said, just throw them in the box. They'll burn them or something. So I called Rebecca and said, is there going to be a Democrat and a Republican at the burning of the ballots? And she said, oh, no, I'm calling Ollie. So she called him, and by then we were packing up to leave to come to bring the box back. And the inspector said, well, I just thought that's what they do. And when I walked in to take the box, I asked them what they were going to do with all these ballots. And they said, we'll take care of them. And I just said, when? And they said, okay, you can void them right now. And I did, and I signed my name on them. So since then, I haven't been asked, or I'll call to let them know I'm available to even work again. You know, I just feel like I've been just blackballed for doing my job. It wasn't, the inspector even asked me, he said, do you think a Democrat would cheat another Democrat? But that wasn't the purpose of me bringing the issue up. I didn't think of a party, or all I knew is I was told they're active. And people, so to me, if you got envelopes that's been initialed, and you have ballots that's been initialed, and then you do a recount, how do you know? You just look for initial that's not there. How do you know that it hadn't been put in a machine and ran? You know, we don't know. So, you know, I just said there was red flags with that. And then by me not being asked to work again, I wasn't trying to create a disturbance. But I feel like it's wrong for people to keep hiring people that don't know what they're doing and then let them do what they want and do what I tell you to do. That's wrong. I mean, you got laws and you got regulations, so why don't you abide by them? Why have training? Just go pull people off the street then. And then when they get in there, do what I tell you to do. And that's not right.
Ms. Harrington, can I have you clarify, which election are you talking about specifically?
The last ones, of course, I didn't get to work.
So not 24?
No, it was the mayoral.
23.
The mayor, yes.
Was it the primary election or the?
For the mayor.
Well, no, but there's both a primary and a general election.
It was the primary, where they had to actual pick the,
You pick your party.
your party, who you want to run for mayor. I do remember that.
And what was the site? Where did you work?
It was the church on Rabel.
Wesleyan Church.
No, Wesley was the other incident. Wesley. Not Wesley, what's the church right there across from Grandview Golf Course? It's the golf course and it's the church right there.
Oh, it's the First Baptist Church on Rabel?
Yes.
Okay.
That's where we worked during that incident. Now, the incident before that, and I was grateful to have a supervisor or inspector that actually did his job, because the other incident they're referring to was at the Wesleyan Church on 8th Street, and the inspector wouldn't allow us to ride in the car with her to take the ballots, downtown.
And what year was that?
That was in 2022.
22?
Mm-hmm. Yes. And then she would take the ballots and she'd count them all day. She was in the box and, just constantly over and over. And I know we are to count maybe hourly and keep record of, make sure your tabulator and everything is correspondent with the ballots that's brought in. But to just sit and constantly do it and walk out the door with the ballots in your hand was out of order. And then not let us ride with her, not let us ask somebody there to lock the door. She couldn't lock it, and she fumbled. It took about 20 minutes to leave every day because she just made a mess constantly. And the last day, she just had told the other ladies, I'm going to get rid of these two when they come in. And they told us that after she was just honest about things that weren't true. and said I called downtown on her constantly, and I told her I did not do that. And she was saying, yes, you did, yes, you did. And I said, no, I didn't. Now you're calling me a liar because I did not. And then she was saying, yes, you did, because I seen this man come, which was him, to bring you water one day, and I've seen him on TV before, so you had to call downtown for him to come. And I said, no, I know him. He's in my phone contact as a friend. You were supposed to bring water for us to drink, and you didn't, so I called him and asked him, would he please bring water? And that's what he did. It wasn't about you. I needed some water. So she kept on, and I told her, hold it. I'm not going through this today. I never called on you, but I'm telling you now, I'm calling. And I called Rebecca, asked her the clerk's number, and called and told the clerk I shouldn't have to work under these conditions, and I'm tired. And so Russ came. They asked for Ludy's number, and they called Ludy, and instead Russ came and took her and talked to her.
And that was in 22?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What was the end result of all of that?
Well, she got fired.
Who did that?
You did.
Thank you.
But the young man that, he got a misdemeanor put on him, the one that you and Rodney Cummings, filed charges on. That was absolutely wrong. Those ballots was not submitted in there for consideration. No one voted. You accused him and you had him found guilty of a misdemeanor. I mean, when are y'all going to, Russ can do anything he want to do at all times. When are y'all going to remove him? He's harassing, discriminating. I got here on April the 29th of 23, where Russ Willis, that Zion church, and he tried to intimidate me, and I can show you pictures.
Okay.
I told him, you are harassing these people, you're threatening them with jail time, and I come to you, Linda, every time. Now you want me to specify every incident?
No, I don't.
It's wrong.
I don't. You have it written here, and so I just needed to get the
Well, I
timeline.
can't, I've been coming to you a half a dozen times, you ain't done nothing.
Oh, wait.
I've reported it to the board, and I've sent it to, let's see.
You never gave me written answers of the complaints I made.
It's up to the board to give you written answers.
Well, hell, where y'all been, Tim?
And our attorney is,
All right.
okay.
Okay, all right.
But she never, they promised me 11.
Excuse me, we need-
one damn thing. You
Ollie.
understand what I'm saying?
Ollie, please, we're trying to move the meeting along in an orderly fashion, so let's do that. Thank you very much. Do you have any
I
other?
get tired of racism. You
I
understand that?
understand what you're saying, Ollie, but we're trying to have a meeting here. So if you're done with your testimony, Ms. Harrington, was there anything else you wanted to say?
Not that I can think
Okay,
of.
thank you.
And Linda, I ask you,
Yes, I would like to be considered to work. If
You know,
the lady that was fired, when I first worked with her, it was my first time working the polls, and things was done that seemed like they weren't right.
Right.
And I had to read the manuals, shut down the machines until somebody else came to help us clear the machines, the tabulators. And so I've done all aspects of work because she didn't seem qualified. But I said, okay, she's a Republican, so I guess that means she can do whatever she wanted to do, regardless of what was said to be done. And I didn't say anything. I appreciated the job, but I just feel like it's just terribly wrong when people know their job or you learn a job, and because you do your job, you dismiss.
all right.
well, I gotta apologize for, but I still feel bad about it. But Russ was out here on April 21st, April 29th, and I can show you, I got videos with the audio and all. I don't know how to work the thing. Y'all have to show me how to do it. Where he was basically taking pictures. Black folks went up inside his Zion church, and he told me I couldn't be in there. I got to be 50 feet away from the doors, and I was 50 feet, but he wanted me out in the parking lot, and he had video. I got videos of Russ Willis and his attitude. And I complain to whether I put it on paper or not. At least half a dozen times I put it on paper, Linda. I can't remember every time specifically when I complained to you about Russ Willis. It's time. She ought to be given a chance that she want to work. She worked hard, never had a problem until Russ Willis decided he was going to take over. And people at times are afraid to come to Zion Church. The older people, here's Russ Willis with his camera. These people's catching hell living. They don't want to be here. Man stand out there and talk to them about sending them to jail on voter registration. Y'all need to stop this man from messing over people. People got a right to vote, and they shouldn't be harassed at them polls. Y'all know he do it. Is every person coming to you, Miss Callahan, Ollie, Dixon, Rebecca, is everybody wrong?
No, in fact, we just made a finding that Ms. Callahan's complaint was sustained, that there were deficiencies, the reports were wrong. So no, we're following the law. Well,
Yeah.
I'd like for you to show me the law that says they're not given 5 days to make the,
You guys have the right
so,
to have
Yeah.
Why not remove him?
do,
He continues to violate.
do we have that power, Mr. Graham?
Yes, you do, as a board, you can vote.
Well, I'll take a look at that statute. I'm not aware
You
of
already
that.
talked to me in the hallway about it. On the canvassing day. You know you have the right.
I don't know.
And do like you did Larry. Do like you did Larry. Put Russ in jail.
We can't go, we can't,
Now somebody,
look, we can't be doing this for hours on end. Ollie, is there anything that you want to say other than?
Hey, well, I want to
what
say
you said
too, one
already?
other thing,
Because we need to
Linda.
bring this matter.
Linda, do you remember that the gentleman, I was there on the second floor, the guy come up with a whole bunch of signs in his hand. And trying to keep him out of trouble, I just said, hey man, you can't bring signs up here on this second floor. And he just waved me off. And I'm trying to help him, but he comes to the clerk's office up to the window, and I followed him there, and I said, hey, you're going to get in trouble with those signs. He told the clerk to call security. What the hell is wrong with him? Call security. And by that time, I believe Heather come over anyway and explained to me he was from what department or what?
The Secretary of State.
Secretary of State, okay. Well, if you had said that in the beginning, I could have understood it. But Russ Willis, and you guys already told me you don't have no clothing, no shirts, no, you don't even talk politics during election time up on the second floor. So do you understand why I'm being treated different than this gentleman was?
What I recall from that, I know I wasn't in the office that day,
Mhm.
but you came and talked to me about it.
Yeah.
And I also talked to Prosecutor Cummings about it, and he had discussions with you. So I'm not sure what your discussions with the, what.
Well, I can tell you what Rodney Cummings told me. Rodney Cummings said it was wrong, and you go and clear that up with Linda Smith, the clerk down there. And then after that, I asked him, who can I get a written resolution? Who would tell me what did they find? And I asked you, and you said you would send out a written notice. Did you ever?
I referred it to my attorney.
I did.
I referred all of your incidents to our attorney, and I know he's been working on those. There have been many, right?
But
Many
yes,
complaints.
but you've been many of them, but, even Ms. Callahan, why you put me on the back burner? Why? I mean, look how every complaint I give to you guys, y'all don't do a damn thing about it. It's time y'all live up and done your job right.
You're saying y'all, but you're only referring to me, Ollie. Okay, please let me speak. Please let me speak. These are complaints to the election board,
Right.
okay? I am one person on this board. This board is a body. They make decisions, okay?
What's your affiliation with him then?
What's my affiliation
Yeah,
with him?
Russ Willis.
We sit on the same board.
Well, then why you the clerk? Why you let him dog people, black people, or people he don't like out? You're the clerk, you're the boss.
I'm not the boss. This is the election board.
We're all individual members of the board.
We are
What are you
individual
saying?
members, and even the
No
clerk.
one is anybody's boss.
Can I say something? The board determines the duties of the clerk in elections. I would think, Dr. Callahan, that you would be able to read that and know, or at least refer it to your attorney so that you would find out. That is the truth. And if you're going to, if you are going to speak, then you need to be addressed properly at this.
We're out of order in this meeting. This meeting is completely out of order. And we need to restore order, all right? And we came here, I thought, only on one complaint that was filed by Ollie Dixon, and it had to
That
do,
was against one of our officials up on the...
that right, it had to do with the proper form to be used for registration. And
And there have been other
Now we're-
complaints, correct.
right,
And Linda did provide those to me as soon as she received them.
Is anybody listening to what he's
The
saying?
special prosecutor found Russ Willis guilty.
you're not,
Right.
you haven't been recognized. Please.
Oh, no,
don't-
I was recognized by Linda. She said come to the podium. I'm here.
I'm the
Okay,
chair.
you're on the-
Oh, no, she recognized me.
You're on the podium. He's speaking first. Go ahead, please.
I'm not sure who you're talking to.
I'm addressing Ollie on this one. The one that we were noticed to hear was the one that you filed regarding the reports that you attempted to file.
Yeah.
You did, throughout the election season, provide complaints to the clerk, and the clerk provided those to me for investigation. I do know that during that time, I was advised that during the election season, we were not going to have a lot of time to look into this. And so in December is when we addressed Dr. Callahan's complaint, and you were anticipated to be on that agenda. I messed that up and didn't include you on there, and I'm sorry. That's why we put you on this particular complaint for today. I was advised to do that by my client.
Back on the back burner, right?
No, absolutely not. You were on at the same time as Dr. Callahan, the first one after the election season. And now you brought up some other issues with the board's direction. I will be happy to look into that with you and Rebecca and see what, if any, election laws were violated and what this board could do as far as hearing.
I would appreciate,
But to conduct a hearing, we have to give notice to the people that may have done wrong things so they can come in and do that.
well, will you start by, and it would satisfy me to investigate and see why Russ Willis let that person that delivered them, that's a federal offense, and you know that. And no one individual is supposed to transportate ballots from the polling place back to the election room. I know
Ollie, let me ask Jeff a question.
you go ahead.
Yeah, so was there a written complaint filed by Mr. Dixon about that particular issue?
Yes.
There may have been, that Ollie has provided, and I don't mean that as a criticism, but there have been several that provided to Linda. Linda would forward them to me.
I even gave it to Rodney Cummings if you want further proof. That's the prosecutor.
But my question,
And a lot of times, Tim, what happens is some of his complaints clearly implicate criminal law.
okay,
They would be almost outside the sphere of this particular body. So
Okay.
we concentrate more on the election law cases, and with the election proceeding, other issues going on in our clerk's office and our voter registration, we wait until December. That's when we heard Dr. Callahan.
all right.
And meant to be Ollie, except for my ear. I did not mean to put you on.
A police
Mhm.
report was filed. The police
And that-
interviewed me at the.
And that's fine, but if we're gonna have a hearing on a particular issue, then everybody who's involved needs to be given proper notice so that they can appear and we can hear their side of the story too. Today, it was my understanding, we were only up here about the complaint that you filed regarding the use of the federal forms for registration, which was of a concern to me too when I got that. I sent an email to make sure that those forms were being used, and they were properly being allowed, and I was assured that was the case. But nonetheless, that's the only complaint I understood we were gonna be here on.
Well, I understand that, Tim.
Yeah.
But, on the case up there when, what date, was that I filed that with you, Linda?
You had several on a document that you sent to me, and it was on the 29th.
Well, you will get them over to this, your lawyer here, this gentleman, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I sent, you were sitting right there with me,
But-
and I sent, please, Tim,
Yes, go ahead.
I emailed everyone on your list while you were sitting there, and I asked you, read them off to you. These are everyone that I'm sending your list.
Now,
Your
which
complaint.
complaint are you talking about now?
Do you want to see it?
You can tell me which complaint. I want everybody here.
There are several complaints on here. This is a disenfranchisement of black and minorities. It specifies an incident, excuse me, on Thursday, October the 24th.
You'll get what you got to your lawyer, and then I can talk to him.
All right.
It seems that you're getting amnesia, but if you would.
I'm not getting amnesia, and I don't appreciate those
Well,
attacks
I don't
on me.
appreciate you not telling me the truth.
I have never attacked you in any way, shape, or form. I've always tried to be helpful to you.
But you don't get nothing done.
All right, let's go back to why we're here, which is the complaint that was filed by Mr. Dixon having to do with the usage of the federal voter registration forms,
Right.
okay? That's the one matter that I believe is properly before this board at this time. And we've heard from you about that.
Yeah.
And what I know about it, I can tell you from the board's perspective, what I know about it is when that was forwarded to me, your complaint, I immediately sent an email to other members of the board saying, it's my understanding that these federal forms are appropriate, they should be accepted, and if they're not, we need to start doing that. I then
Yeah,
received,
you heard
I
that?
believe, correspondence back from the clerk saying, in essence, I was correct.
So we can use them.
Yes, absolutely. And then I was advised that in fact, that is the practice, that they are being accepted by the voter registration office. And I didn't hear anything further.
Now, one other, will they be, can you get them from voter registration, the federal forms?
No, I think those
Why
are something
not?
you have to get off the internet, is that correct?
I mean,
I don't know. I don't
why
know.
not? Well, but why not?
They use the state forms, that's through the system, that's what they're required to use. They don't provide the
What,
federal.
by state law, you're saying?
Well,
The
okay.
state forms that are developed by the state election division, those are the forms that they have approved to use. That's what the state says they have to use. To your point, on this particular issue, you
Let's keep
said,
it to this issue.
absolutely. You said that I was involved with that. I haven't worked in that office since April of 2018. We had a new employee who was not familiar with the federal forms, and that's why he questioned them. He has been corrected and informed that, yes, you accept those.
Russell, you also told me there during that election, well, I got somebody to run against you and Rebecca. We're gonna leave you unopposed, and we're gonna be,
But wait a minute, Ollie.
we're still talking about,
No, I want to,
Well,
this
it's
is
not your
only,
topic.
just the issue,
In order for him.
just the issue as to the voter registration forms. That's the matter which is before the board, which I think has been resolved.
Mhm.
Clearly, those forms
But
should
the
be accepted. and
Well,
are
here's
being
the thing, it appears that you guys can meet very quickly when a complaint is brought by the complainter, and you can make decisions amongst yourself, but you don't include the person who made the complaint, because you all are saying, no, we met really quickly, and we're making these changes. That's not right.
No,
So if you
no,
can meet that quickly
I don't
about what
know.
his complaint is,
Miss
then you should be including all
Callahan,
this.
Miss Callahan, I don't understand what you're saying.
Oh, okay, well, here's the thing. You guys keep saying that you haven't had enough time, that you guys, need more time, or you haven't notified somebody. I don't know, within a couple hours, you had the
All right, well,
police
that is-
out at his
that
house.
has no- that's
No,
absolutely
so your
nothing-
time management, is your time management for
That's
your
not-
friends and family benefit
what you're
package, and then you have time management for who's outside your inner circle.
What
So
you're-
that is wrong that you keep
What you're saying
stating that.
has absolutely nothing to do with this issue
absolutely
about the
does.
voter registration.
You've kicked this
forms,
can
which
down the
is
road for
before.
how long?
We're dealing with it, we dealt with it at the time, actually, when it
But
came
did you
up.
include the complainant?
I don't know, but we resolved the matter.
To your satisfaction,
This
not
is-
to the people.
now this
These
is the
elections are
first
for your
time
satisfaction.
you
Is there
guys
anything
ever
else
called me
coming
up
before
on
us?
all of those complaints.
Tim, I have something I'd like to ask for.
I will.
Please do it, and then, because
She's
we
gonna have to
need,
be sworn in.
Well, are you asking testimony or just asking?
No, I'm
a
just
question?
asking a question. I'm just
Which
asking
question?
for something. Pursuant to Indiana
What's your
Code-
name, please?
Cheryl McKinney.
All right, Cheryl.
Pursuant to Indiana Code 3-9-4-14, it states that the deficits filings that you guys found today regarding the Lincoln Club, those will be posted for the public. I want to know when those will be posted.
We have a time that are you, now tell me that, say that again, because I'm probably getting confused with what our protocol is. We have received all financials by noon today. And yes, everyone who has not submitted their form timely, it will be posted outside the election room and will also be copied to the Secretary of State's office, Election Division.
What says the actual deficits will be available to the public? So we'll actually be able to see each one of those, not just Russ
What's
Willis
the
and the Lincoln Club.
citation again?
3-9-4-4-14.
Larry, can you come up here?
Whatever the law
We'll look at
says
it.
that we need to
Thank
do,
you.
we'll have it done.
And then I would just like for you guys to entertain the thought of removing Russ. There's been numerous complaints. I don't think that the public has faith in him anymore.
Terry, are you, you got the federal forms over there?
Can I just address the county election board? There's some misinformation that just shared.
All right.
My name is Terry Austin. I don't have to swear. So I just conferred with the elections division at the state. Yes, the county voter registration offices can provide copies of the federal form to use. There's no law against it. It's in fact, as a National Voting Rights Act designated office, they have to make that voter registration forms available.
So it's an option on our part.
No, that's not an option. As part of the National Voting Rights Act, you have to provide the federal forms. They provide both forms. Yes, and that's been a problem all along. We're dead last in the country in voter registration and turnout. We should be bending over backwards to make sure people get registered to vote and turn out to vote.
Okay, I have a question, Terry. Terry, I have a question for you. Who is in charge of voter registration?
I am for now, and Russ Willis. Well, we appoint the staff. I know you've been trying to combine it into your office, which both of us cannot support. But the forms as a federally designated office, I believe the clerk's office also has to provide them.
The clerk's office has to provide them?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and confirm that just to double check again.
Okay. And who is in charge of making the decision for voter registration to be under the clerk? You know the answer.
The commissioners.
The county commissioners.
Yeah.
And what kind of a vote must that be?
It has to be a unanimous vote.
Thank you.
That's not a criticism of you, Linda. I'm simply saying, we need to make those forms widely available. We should have them at every public agency possible to encourage people to vote. Every possible agency.
So I'm for that too.
And maybe that's something the county election board could work on for the 2026 election.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And also, Larry, will you come up there? I had asked Larry, will you go up there and say what I had to say?
Well, are y'all going to?
I'm just going to reaffirm what he said. Yes, sir. I'm terrified to be up here because of some
Is this
stuff I
just
need
going to be another attack on?
No, I'm not going to attack anybody, sir. I'm just going to tell you what was said to me on the phone.
I guess he has to be sworn in too. He's going to have to testimony.
He's going to offer testimony about hearing you guys.
Well, it was just Mr. Dixon called me that afternoon and told me. Okay. Sorry.
You swear to the penalties of perjury that your testimony is the truth, the whole truth.
Yes, sir. Oh, yes, sir.
Identify yourself for the record.
My name is Larry Savage. So Ollie and I used to be kind of adversaries a little bit, but we've kind of become friends and are kind of working together and trying to do the right thing in the community. I did call Mr. Willis the next day and was going to bring up some of the things that were going on. I don't know if you remember the phone call, said, Russ, we need to repair a relationship with both Christian men. I had some issues I want to talk to you about. You said, well, I doubt that we'll be able to repair that relationship. You remember this conversation? That's far as where we're going with this.
Said I was open to talking.
Yeah, and so that day I started to tell you about the stuff that Mr. Dixon told you about, and we went into a little bit, and you basically was like, well, what's in it? If you do stuff, what's in it for me type attitude. You remember saying that kind of stuff, what's in it for me? Okay, so what I'm saying is it's not an attack, it's just that's the kind of person that we're dealing with, and if we want to get this fixed, we have to get that attitude off of people that are in charge of the integrity of our elections, and that's all I'm saying. Great, thanks.
Okay, very good. Is there any further discussion? There's, yeah. Okay. You said